Hey class, this is Miss Lalley coming to you about our Pythagorean theorem. I think some of us have probably learned it before, which is awesome because it's not super difficult. We just have to use our calculators, and so those calculators are super important. What you are looking for is to the second exponent on our calculators, and we're also going to look for a square root, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So when we are doing Pythagorean theorem, it is very important that we know exactly where our letters are. So labeling is a very important thing on these Pythagorean theorems. So you have to know where your A, B, and C is. All right, so you have two options. All right, it doesn't really matter where B or A is. Okay, as long as they are connected to the box. Right? So as you can see, A is connected to that box. B is also connected to that box. All right? Just on this one. It's okay if they switch because it doesn't matter where B or A is. B is still connected to that box. That line is touching the box. A is also touching that box. Okay? The only one that's different is C. All right? As you can see, C is right here. It's also, C is diagonal away from that box, all right? It's away from the box. Also, the box is not touching C at all. So you see this line right here? It's not touching where the box is. It doesn't touch this line. It doesn't touch this line. So it doesn't touch the box at all. So that's how we know it's C, all right? Or you think of it, this box is right here. Whatever is diagonal from it is our C. All right, the first quiz is all about telling me where's A, where's B, and where's C. All right, so it's just gonna have like an X somewhere. You need to tell me if it's A, B, or C. All right, so it shouldn't be too difficult, that quiz. All right, another thing that you might need to remember or know is that A to the second power actually means, all right, so A to the second power means A times A. So it doesn't mean A times 2, it means A times A. All right, so when we plug it into our calculator, you should see something that either looks like a little caret that is like pointed up so that you know that it goes to the second power. Another thing that you could see, I'm gonna just move you real fast so that I can write it. You could see something that looks like this. All right, same thing, the same thing. So A squared to the square power, so that's A caret 2, or if you're plugging it in, it could just look like A to the second power. All right, when you plug it into a calculator, this A is not going to be A, it's going to be a number so that you can actually plug it into the calculator. So after you do these problems, yes, you're going to actually get a number. Okay, so let's talk about what that all means. So we're going to use our formulas to solve these problems. All right, example 1. We first have 3 inches here and 4 inches here. All right, we got nothing on this side, and that's okay. It's very important that we have that box on your quiz. They have the box. Every single one of them has the box. All right, so first thing we got to do is label. I need to know which one's A, B, or C. All right, so as I see, I put A here and I put B here. Does not matter. You could have put B here and A there. And then we have our box right here. So we know that across from our box has to be C. All right, so that's our first thing. Label what you know. All right, the second thing is to use this formula. It's called A squared plus B squared equals C squared. All right, so what we got to do, we got A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We're going to plug in what we know. So we're going to place the numbers that go into the spot. A becomes 3 because as you can see, A is next to 3. All right, so 3 squared plus my B's right here, 4. So 4 squared, so instead of B, I don't want B anymore, I want 4. All right, equals question mark squared, because we don't know what that is. So we got to plug it into our calculator. So in our calculator, we're going to do 3 caret 2, or again, earlier we talked about it. All right, so as you can see, A is squared. So it could look like this, it could look like this, but it doesn't matter. It's either looking like this or this in that calculator. So you're going to do 3 squared plus 4 squared, just like it says right here. All right, you can just put it all into the calculator and it'll jump you right down to 25. But if you don't, you'll figure out 3 squared is 9 plus 4 squared is 16, right? So we got to add those two numbers together. We get 9 plus 16. What's 9 plus 16? It is our 25, all right? This is where we haven't talked about. On those calculators, even if you're using your phone, you're going to look for something that looks like a square root, all right? This is called a square root. It's trying to figure out what 25 is the square of. So we're trying to figure out how to figure out what C is or what question mark is by square rooting. So this might be a little difficult. So of course, email me or call me if you have to struggle with it. But on your calculator, you should see something that looks like this. It looks like a square root. It looks like a little, it looks like a division sign, but it has a little thing right here. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna square root the number that we have over here. So you're gonna plug in your square root first, then you're gonna put 25. Then push enter, and it's just gonna give you 5. All right, so the square root is on that calculator. All right, so again, we added those two numbers, gave us 25. On those calculators, you're looking for the thing that looks like a square root. And on that square root, we're gonna square root and then plug in 25 and push enter. It should give you 5. All right, we got 5 inches because of course at the beginning we talked about inches. All right. If you are super confused, then go back, rewatch the video. And I also should have another video about it on the Canvas. So if you are getting confused of what I'm saying, there's somebody else explaining it as well. All right, so we're doing the same thing here. We got our same triangle. It's just a little different. It has different numbers, okay? First things first, we need to label A, B, and C. It's always what I do first. So I'm going to label A, B, and C. All right, remember the number across from the box is your C. This can be A, this can be B, this can be B, that can be A. It does not matter these two as long as C is across, okay? So then we got A squared plus B squared equals C squared. This is the formula you will use every single time. It does not change, okay? So then we're gonna do 7 squared, which is our A. We're going to do plus our 5 squared, which is our B, equals C squared, because we don't know what C squared is, right? Because C has no number, right? When we're doing this, we're going to plug it into that calculator. So in that calculator, you're going to put in 7 squared. Remember, it could either look like a caret, or it could just, on your calculator, even your phone calculator, it could just have that 2 with it, all right? So 7 squared plus 5 squared, all right? When we add those two numbers together, we should get 74. So 7 squared gives me 49, 5 squared gives me 25, plus those two numbers together gives me 75 or 74, right? Now we got a square root. That's where that square root is on that calculator. It looks just like this, right? When we square root 74, it's going to give us 8.6 m. And that's okay. We get decimals, and that's fine with us, all right? So we got decimal 8.6, all right? All right, let's talk about 2 more examples. I'm gonna zoom up on this one right here. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing. We got 8 yards, 12 yards, and we got B, all right? So I'm gonna put my box right there. We notice that across from our box is C. All right, so C has a number this time, and that's okay. A has a number, and B does not. All right, that's okay. All right, if you put B here, that just means A doesn't have a number. Doesn't really matter because they're on the same side. All right, so we have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. All right, my A or my B, whichever one you labeled this, is 8 to the second for A, plus B to the second, because we don't know what B is. Right, equals 12 to the second, because that's what C is. All right, so we're going to solve it the same way. 8 to the second is 64. So do that first, plus B to the second equals 12 to the second. 12 to the second is 144. It's going to get some big numbers, and that's okay. All right, so we want this B all by itself. The only way we can do that is doing our one-step equations. We're going to take care of the 64. So opposite of positive 64 is negative 64. We're going to take it to both sides, so this is all by itself. So we're going to do 144 minus 64 gives me 80, right? At this point, we're going to do just like what we did on the last problems. We're going to square root it. We're going to square root, so we use those square roots on those calculators. Square root of 80 is 8.9, right? We put our yards with it, and that's okay because that's what you need to do. So don't forget those units. All right. Last question. All right, example 4. Just like example 3, we're doing example 4. All right, we got our triangle. Remember, always across from our square is our C. So we got A, B, C. If you did A, B, C, totally fine. It does not matter. So whatever number is going to have 5. So I'm going to say A is 5. So we got A is 5 plus B squared because B has nothing. And it equals 12 squared because C is 12, right? There's the formula. It does not change. It's the formula that comes with these questions, okay? So what we got to do is we got to solve. We're going to do 5 squared. Don't add it to anything. Just do 5 squared. Gives me 25, all right? We got our B squared right here. And because I just brought it down, all right? And then we did 12 squared. So 12 to the second power is 144. All right, just like the previous problem, we had the same number. All right, sooner or later you start repeating the same exact numbers because we don't like to mix them up. All right, again, just like the problem before, we want B squared all by itself. We want this all by itself. So the only way we can do that is to take care of 25. What's the opposite of positive 25? Negative 25. So we're going to take it to both sides, and we're going to do 144 minus 25. Should give me 119. Okay, this is where we use those calculators. We use that square root. This is not something you can do in your head. You have to use a calculator. It can use your phone calculator, but whatever you need to use a calculator. So what we're going to do is square root. We're looking for the thing that looks like a division sign, but it has a little line right there. We're going to square root 119. So we're going to do square root, then plug in 119. Should give you an answer after you equal. Should give you an example or answer of 10.9, right? Then we bring down that m with it, just could be meters, all right? And that is our Pythagorean theorem, all right? Remember there, watch my video multiple times, watch the video that I have on there from somebody else explaining it, and try your best on your quiz. It should be 8 questions. If you have any questions, you can email me or call me or text me, and I will let you know. All right, you guys have a great Sunday. Happy Easter. Have a great Monday, and have a good start of your week. All right, bye. I miss you all.